Today, ang i-discuss po namin ay scheme appraisal for highway projects at basic elements of highway traffic analysis. So, ano nga ba ang scheme appraisal for highway projects? Once a transportation plan has been finalized and the demand along each of its highway links has been established, a process must be put in place that helps identify the best solution for each individual proposal within the highway network. Each project must therefore be subject to an appraisal. So, nagkakandak ng highway appraisal para ma-determine ang economic, societal at environmental feasibility ng mga project. Also, tinutulungan nito ang mga highway planner na makapag-decide kung desirable ba o beneficial ba ang isang project. Ng scheme appraisal may tinatawag na reasoned choice model na nagpro-provide ng decision-making framework. Meron itong iba't ibang steps. Una, problem recognition, goal identification, identification of alternative highway schemes, information search, assessment of information on alternative highway schemes, selection of preferred highway scheme, at lastly, yung evaluation. Meron tayong tinatawag na scheme appraisal process for highway schemes at ito ay nahati sa dalawang section. Una yung economic evaluation at yung environmental assessment. Economic appraisal of highway schemes. At various points in the development of a highway project, the developer will require economic assessments of the route options under consideration. So, sa mga development ng highway projects, required na nagkakaroon ng economic assessments ng mga route options under consideration. Dito, kino-compare nila ang kanilang performance sa current situation na tinatawag na do nothing against sa do minimum na alternative. Wherein, sa do minimum ay nagkakaroon ng low-cost upgrading ng mga existing facilities. Para ma-measure din yung worth ng mga highway option, ay nagpe-perform ng computation sa cost at benefits nito. Ilan sa mga common measures of worth ay ang net present value or NPV, benefit cost ratio or BC, internal rate of return or IRR. Sa pagpili ng best option in economic terms, yung ibang criterion ay nakabase sa mga measures na ito para pumili ng chosen proposal. Basically, yung option na may lowest overall cost or highest overall net income ang mapipili. Economic appraisal techniques can be used to justify a scheme in absolute terms, in which case the decision is made on the basis of whether the project is economically efficient or not. So, kung negative yung net present value or yung benefit o cost ratio ay mas mababa sa unity, then ito ay inefficient scheme. Cost-benefit analysis or CBA. Within Europe, the method usually adopted for the economic evaluation of highway schemes, termed cost-benefit analysis, utilizes the net present value technique where the cost and benefits of the scheme are discounted over time so that they represent present-day values. So, dito sa method na ito, any proposal na may positive na net present value ay considered na economically sustainable at ito ang pinipili. Identifying the main project options. This is a fundamental step in the CBA process where the decision makers compile a list of all relevant feasible options that they wish to be assessed. Dito sa step na ito pumapasok yung do minimum option na nag-o-offer ng mas realistic na course kung saan walang bagong highway ang ipinapagawa, kundi nagsasagawa ng traffic management improvements sa mga existing route para mag-improve ang overall traffic performance. Ang paghahanap ng feasible options ay important component ng decision process. Kaya marami tayong procedures for both identifying and defining project options. These include drawing on the personal experience of the decision maker himself, as well as other experts in the highway engineering field, making comparisons between the current decision problem and ones previously solved in a successful manner, at examining all relevant literature. Sa pag-come up ng viable options, kinakailangan din ang planning engineer na magkaroon ng normal judgment. Dito ay nagkakaroon ng screening process na nag-filter through the best option. Isa sa mga method na ginagamit nila ay ang tried and tested option by means of a T-chart. The chart contains a list of criteria which any acceptable options should satisfy. So, isa itong sample ng T-chart for a highway project. Sa example na ito, yung proposed option ay mare-reject dahil sa kabila ng mababa ang construction cost nito, ang maintenance cost at level of environmental intrusion and geometric design, isama mo na rin yung time savings ay malaking dahilan upang ma-eliminate ito. Identifying all relevant costs and benefits. The application of cost-benefit for project assessment in the highway area is made more complicated by the wide array of benefits associated with a given road initiative, some easier to translate into monetary values than others. Karamihan sa mga benefits ng improvements sa transport projects ay kung mababa ang magagastos dito. The primary grouping that contains this type of economic gain is termed user benefits. Benefits of this type accrue to those who will actively use the proposed installation. This group includes reductions in vehicle operating costs. So, dahil sa mga bagong upgraded na project, nagkakaroon ng lower level ng congestion, resulting sa lower fuel consumption at lower maintenance cost. Savings in time. Dahil rin sa pag-upgrade ng mga highway installation, ay mababawasan ang travel time as well as improve the reliability of transport services. Reduction in the frequency of accidents. Dito naman, normally, the higher the standard of construction of a highway, syempre, the lower its accident rate. Economic life, residual value, and the discount rate. A highway project is often complex and long-term, with the costs and benefits associated with it occurring over a long time frame which we term the life of the project. Sa bawat highway project, kaakibat ng cost at benefit nito ang itatagal ng nasabing project. Kung malaki ang nagastos sa isang project, mas malaki ang chance na tatagal ito. Use of economic indicators to assess basic economic viability. Once the two parameters of project life and discount rate are set in place, these allow all costs and benefits to be directly compared at the same point in time. Yung decision maker ngayon ay pipili ng actual mechanism for comparing and analyzing the cost and benefits. Any of the three techniques listed earlier in the chapter can be used for this purpose. Una, yung net present value, internal rate of return, at yung benefit cost ratio. So, yung NPV ang nag-estimate ng economic worth ng isang project in terms of the present worth of the total net benefits. Yung IRR naman ang magbibigay dun sa option under consideration ng rate at which the net present value for it equals to 0. Kasama niya yung BC ratio na base sa ratio ng present value ng benefits to the present value of the costs. Next ay sample ito ng highway CBA. Dito sa table na ito, pinapakita yung traffic flows at yung construction cost para dun sa highway proposal. Next naman, pinapakita yung valuations for user benefits over the 10 years of the upgrade highway operating life. At dito sa last na table, pinapakita yung construction at maintenance costs incurred by the project over its economic life together with the discount value ng mga costs. Sa mga table na ito, nagbibigay ito ng strong economic justification for the project under examination. Advantages and disadvantages of cost-benefit analysis. So dito meron tayong tinatawag na pure benefits, wherein ito yung nagme-measure ng net benefits with the project in relation to net benefits without the project. Ilan sa mga advantages nito ay the use of the common unit of measurement money facilitates comparisons between alternative highway proposals and hence aids the decision-making process. Given that the focus of the method is on benefits and costs of the highway in question to the community as a whole, it offers a broader perspective than a narrow financial or investment appraisal concentrating only on the effects of the project on the project developers, be that the government or a group of investors funding a toll scheme. Ilan naman sa disadvantages nito ay the primary basis for constructing a highway project may be a societal or environmental rather than economic one. The method is more suitable for comparing highway proposals designed to meet a given transport objective, rather than evaluating the absolute desirability of one project in isolation. Payback analysis. Payback analysis is an extremely simple procedure that is particularly useful in evaluating proposals such as privately funded highway projects where tolls will be imposed on users of the facility in order to recover construction costs. Sa method na ito, pinapakita yung estimate ng length of time taken for the project para ma-regain yung loss nila. Sa kabilang banda, ang method nito ay hindi ganun ka-accurate, di tulad ng mga formal economic techniques gaya ng CBA. Sample ito ng payback analysis. Kung i-base natin sa simpleng payback, makikita na yung cheaper option which is A ang preferable dahil mas madaling may balik ang initial cost nito kesa sa option B. So, another method na makikita natin is yung pagkuha ng present worth, wherein makikita natin na yung option B ay halos twice ang net present value sa option A. Sabi nga natin, ang payback analysis ay hindi ganun ka-accurate, kaya kung gusto natin ng detailed analysis, preferable ang net present value at iba pang economic evaluation.
So let's proceed to the environmental appraisal of highway scheme. Environmental evaluation requires an alternative analytical structure. Why? Kasi habang tinutugunan ang layunin para sa kaligtasan at kahusayan sa transportasyon sa isinasagawang proyekto sa highway, nararapat pa rin pahalagahan ang magiging epekto nito sa kapaligiran. The structure developed within the last 30 years is termed environmental impact assessment. Its contribution to the proper environmental management was noted in the Second Action Program on the Environment, published by them in 1977, kung saan ang pangunahing layunin ng programang ito ay matiyak na ang epekto sa kapaligiran ng isinasagawang proyekto ay may salang-alang sa hakbang ng kanilang plano. There are 12 environmental impacts to be assessed for any new and improved trunk road proposal. Ito kasama ang economic assessment ay makakabuo ng isang decision-making framework na magagamit as basis sa pagpili between competing option for a given highway route corridor and for deciding in absolute terms whether the proposal in any form should be proceeded with. Una ay air quality. Since ang mga binubugang usok galing sa mga sasakyan ang nagdudulot ng air pollution, yung mga established models ang ginagamit para ma-predict yung future levels ng mga pollutants. Cultural heritage. Yung mga disturbance of archaeological remains, listed buildings, and impacts of such action on the heritage of the locality are assessed under this heading. Construction disturbance. Dito pumapasok yung mga hindrance tulad ng alikabok, noise, at vibration na nakre-create ng isinasagawang construction ay maaaring makaapekto sa viability ng proyekto. Ecology or nature conservation. Ito ay may maaaring negatibong epekto lalo na sa ilang mga species sa kanilang kapaligiran o tirahan sapagkat maaari itong mawala. Landscape effect. Ang lokal na tanawin ay maaaring mabago sa panimula ng pagtatayo ng isang highway kung ang pagkakahanay nito ay hindi na isama sa katangian ng lokal na lupain. Kasama rin dito ay yung land use kung saan na-access naman dito ay yung effects of route corridor, effects of severance of farmland, and general reduction. Traffic noise and vibration. Ang bilang ng mga sasakyang gumagamit ng kalsada at kalapitan ng kalsada sa mga tirahan kung saan sinusukat ang antas ng ingay ay ilan sa nakakaapekto para sa mga nakatira malapit sa isang kalsada. Pedestrian and community effects. Ang pagkakahiwalay ng mga communities ay may epekto sa mga tao sapagkat tumataas ang oras ng paglalakbay at pagbasag din ng mga ugnayan sa pagitan nila at sa mga serbisyo na ginagamit nila araw-araw. Vehicle travelers. Sinusuri naman nito ang panukala mula sa mga pananaw ng mga drivers. Water quality and drainage. Sinusukat nito ang epekto na maaaring magkaroon ng runoff mula sa isang pagpapaunlad ng kalsada sa lokal na kalidad ng tubig. Geology and soils. Ang proseso ng construction ng kalsada ay maaaring mapinsala ang istruktura ng lupa. At ang huli ay ang policies and plans, kung saan ina-assess dito ang compatibility ng isang plano sa pagpapaunlad ng highway sa antas ng lokal, rehiyon at pambansa. So now, the new approach to appraisal. During the late 1990s, the UK government reviewed its road program in England and identified those important schemes capable of being started within the short to medium term and listed them as potential candidates for inclusion within target program. The appraisal summary table summarizes the assessment of the scheme in question against the following 5 objectives and their constituent impacts seen by the government as being central to transport policy. So the 5 objectives are the environmental impact, safety, economy, accessibility, and integration. Sa environmental impacts, dito pumapasok yung mga noise, landscape, biodiversity at iba pa. Sa safety, name-measure nito yung pag-improve sa safety ng mga travelers. Sa economy naman, dito ay yung proposal na na-contribute both to economic efficiency and to sustainable economic growth in appropriate location. Accessibility, which relates to the proposal's impact on the journeys made within the locality by the modes of transport, assessing whether the proposed project will make it easier or more difficult to people to journey to work. Lastly is the integration, kung saan naman na-assess nito yung compatibility of the proposal with land use and transportation plans and policies at local, regional, and national level. And now, let's go on to the basic elements of highway traffic analysis. The functional effectiveness of a highway is measured in terms of its ability to assist and accommodate the flow of vehicles with both safety and efficiency. In order to measure its level of effectiveness, certain parameters associated with the highway must be measured and analyzed. Speed, flow, and density of a stream of a traffic. The traffic flow Q, a measure of a volume of a traffic on a highway, is defined as the number of vehicles passing some given point on the highway in a given time interval. In a given terms, Q is expressed in a vehicles per unit time. The number of vehicles on a given section of a highway can also be computed in terms of the density or concentration of a traffic as follows. Traffic density is a measure of the number of vehicles occupying a length of roadway. The average speed of the K vehicle is termed the space mean U, where L sub I is the length of the road used for measuring the speed of the vehicle. It can be seen that if the expression for Q is divided by the expression for K, the expression for U is obtained, just like in equation 4. 3 parameters U, K, and Q are directly related under the stable traffic condition. So the formula will be Q equal to the U times K. Speed density relationship. As more vehicle used in the section of a highway, the density of the flow will increase and their speed will decrease from their maximum free flow value. If traffic volume continues to increase, a point is reached where traffic will be brought to a stop. Thus, speed will equal to 0 with the density and its maximum point as cars are jumped bumper to bumper. So this will be the illustration of the speed density relationship. For the flow density relationship, the density at maximum flow is thus equal to the half the jump density, and this will be the illustration of flow density relationship. And for the speed flow relationship, the speed at maximum flow is thus equal to the half the free flow speed. And this will be the illustration of the speed flow relationship, wherein ang formula natin ay combination ng flow density at ng speed of maximum flow.
The level of service approach. Introduction. Level of service describes in a qualitative way the operational conditions for traffic from the viewpoint of the road user. It gauges the level of congestion on a highway in terms of variables such as travel time and traffic speed. So yung level of service approach ay naglalarawan sa mga kondisyon ng trapiko mula sa mga gumagamit ng kalsada. Sinusukat din yung level of service mula sa travel time and traffic speed ng isang highway. The Highway Capacity Manual, TRB 1985, lists 6 levels of service ranging from A best to F worst as follows. Sa Service A. Sa service na ito ay halos walang trapiko na kung saan ang mga sasakyan ay may kakayahang maglipat ng linya ng may kalayaan. Ang tanging maglilimit na lang sa bilis ng mga sasakyan ay ang mismong geometric design ng isang highway. Service B. Kumpara sa Service A, nabawasan lang ng bahagya ang kakayahan ng mga sasakyan na gumalaw ng malaya. Service C. Ang daloy ng trapiko sa service na ito ay nasa antas na kung saan ang maliit na pagtaas ng bilis ng mga sasakyan ay makakaapekto sa serbisyo ng highway. Kinakailangan ng matinding pag-iingat ang mga nagmamaneho sa paglipat ng mga linya. Service D. Ang mga pangunahing problema sa pagpapatakbo sa highway ay maaaring lumabas mula sa mga maliliit na pagbabago sa antas ng daloy ng mga sasakyan. Service E. Nasabing malala na ang trapiko sa service na ito dahil ang capacity ng sasakyan ng isang highway ay naabot na nagresulta sa pagsikip ng daloy ng trapiko. At sa Service F, pinakamalalang level of service dahil ang daloy ng trapiko dito ay patigil-tigil na ang paggalaw ng sasakyan. Some definitions. In order to determine a road's level of service, a comprehension of the relationship between hourly volume, peak hour factor, and service flow is vital. Hourly volume V, the highest hourly volume within a 24-hour period. Peak hour factor PHF, the ratio of the hourly volume to the peak 15-minute flow V15 enlarged to an hourly volume. So para makuha yung PHF ay PHF equals hourly volume over 15-minute flow o V15 times 4. Service flow SF, the peak 15-minute flow V15 enlarged to an hourly volume. So yung SF ay V15 times 4. Maximum service flow rates for multi-lane highways. The Highway Capacity Manual generates maximum flow values obtainable in a multi-lane highway given a certain speed limit and prevailing level of service. The values assume that ideal conditions exist. All carriageways are standard with 3.65 meters. There are no obstruction within 3.65 meters of their edge. There are no heavy goods vehicles, buses, or recreational vehicles on the road. The driver population consists of regular weekdays drivers and the road is divided by a physical barrier and rural base. Given the existence of ideal conditions, the maximum service flow SF max can be defined as SF max equals CJ times V over C times M. Na yung N ay yung number of lanes in each direction. CJ is the capacity of a standard highway lane for a given design speed J. So for non-ideal conditions naman, the previous equation becomes the following. SF equals CJ times V over C times M times FW times FHB times FT times FP. So, masasabing non-ideal condition kapag yung lane widths are narrower than 3.65 meters and or barriers, lighting posts or any such obstruction are closer than 1.23 meters from the edge of the traveled pavement, either at the curb or median. An adjustment factor FW must be introduced. If the lane width is reduced to 2.74 meters or 9 feet and there are obstructions at both edges bounding it, the capacity will be reduced by 34% or just over 1/3. Maximum service flow rates for two-lane highways. Where one lane is available for traffic in each direction, a classification of two-lane highway applies. In such a situation, if a driver wishes to overtake a slower moving vehicle, The opposing lane must be utilized. This maneuver is therefore subject to geometric constraints, most noticeably passing sight distances but also the terrain of the stretch of a road in question. The capacity of such highways is expressed as a two-directional value rather than the one-directional value used in the previous section for multi-lane highways. Under ideal conditions, the capacity of a two-lane highways is set at 2,800 passenger car units per hour. If one adjusts this value by a ratio of flow to capacity consistent with the desired level of service, the following formula for service is obtained. So service flow divided by 2,800 times V over C. Ideal conditions assume the following. Passing is permissible throughout 100% of the section of highway in question. Lane widths are at least 12 feet, 3.65 meters. Clearance on hard shoulders of at least 6 feet or 1.83 meters. Displaying speed of at least 60 miles per hour or 96 kilometers per hour. Traffic stream entirely composed of private cars. The flow in both directions exactly evenly balanced or level terrain. No obstructions to flow caused by vehicle turning movements. Traffic signalization. So pag yung condition naman is non-ideal, the capacity of the highway reduces from 2,800 PCU per hour based on the following equation. Yung equation kanina ay magiging SF divided by 2,800 times V over C times FD times FW times FHAV. Sizing a road using the highway capacity manual approach. When sizing a new roadway, a desired level of service is chosen by the designer. This value is then used in conjunction with the design traffic volume in order to select an appropriate cross-section for the highway. It is a common practice to use a peak hour between the 10th and 50th highest volume hour of the year, with the 30th highest the most widely used. In order to derive this value for a highway, the annual average daily traffic or AADT for the highway is multiplied by a term called the K factor, such that design hourly volume equals Ki times AADT, where the value of Ki corresponds to the highest annual hourly volume. Since DHB is a two-directional flow, the flow in the peak direction, the directional design for volume DHB, is estimated by multiplying it by a directional factor D. So DDHB equals K times D times AADT. Estimation of AADT. Selection of the appropriate layout for a rural road requires that the high and low forecast for the opening year is estimated. This is undertaken using the factors supplied in table 4.13 that are used in conjunction with present-day AADT figures to produce future flows. These are then matched with the appropriate AADT range in table 4.12 in order to choose the right carriageway type. So yung dalawang table dito ay magkakonekta sa pagpili ng appropriate layout ng isang road. So traffic was split into the following 5 categories: cars, including taxis, minibuses, and camper vans; light goods vehicles or LGVs; all car type delivery vans excluding those with twin rear tires; other goods vehicles OGB1; all goods vehicles with either 2 axles with twin rear tires, 3 axles rigid, or miscellaneous vehicles such as ambulances and tractors; other goods vehicles OGB2; all goods vehicles with either 3 axles articulated or 4 or more axles rigid or articulated; buses and coaches PSB; buses and minibuses with a capacity for more than 6 passengers. So yun lang po yung report namin.